Hello and welcome for another night of Flux News. I'm Dom. I'm joined by PJ, Glenn, and Blackhole. My first article is Mayra Rosales, 70-stone woman once dubbed the half-ton killer, loses an incredible 80% of her body weight. Mayra Rosales, 34, was given the name after falsely claiming she had accidentally killed her nephew by rolling on him. A 70-stone woman once dubbed the half-ton killer has lost nearly 80% of her body weight after undergoing 11 operations aimed at helping her shed the pounds. Mayra Rosales, 34, was given the name after falsely claiming she had accidentally killed her nephew by rolling on him. She tried to protect her sister Jamie by taking the blame for the death of her nephew, Axiom, in 2008. Her claim was proved false after autopsy results showed he died from multiple injuries to his skull, the Daily Mail reports. Her trial hit the headlines after she had been cut out of her house to attend court. Jamie eventually confessed to the crime and was jailed for 15 years. Mayra Rosales decided in 2011 to shed the pounds to be able to take proper care of her sister's other children. She underwent 11 different operations, including skin removal procedures, to shed the weight and altered her relationship with food. She told ABC 13, "Food to me is I have to eat to live." This is another picture here. I think that was a previous husband. She had to be taken out of court, so they had to remove all. Before it was living to eat, and now you know it's just something normal. Mr. Rosales was treated by a top doctor in Houston, Texas, losing 11 pounds in the first 10 days alone. She lost another 500 pounds before having lap band surgery. Mr. Rosales posted on her Facebook page last month about her skin removal operation. She said, "My legs look normal like any other." The happy slim who now weighs around 200 pounds also recently posted a photograph smiling with a new boyfriend, so this is where she was previously. I thought if you were this big, I thought that you couldn't, I thought it would be possible to really come back from it. But this is how she looks now, so it's possible that she can come back from it. I don't know where all that went then. It must have all been wrong. She says that her legs look normal. Oh, God. Yeah. What's there now?
Do you want the video playing there, or?
Oh yeah, you can play that video if you want. Yeah.
Hello, we're innocent. Want to know why I smoke this
first. Hold on. I'll just skip this advert first. Oh, I might just tempt you to get a bit of fruit. Okay, here we go.
Was a appropriate advert anyway.
Mayra Rosales is considered the heaviest woman in the world.
When I met Mayra, she'd been living in her bed going on 2 years. You have not seen obesity at this level.
This one says 1,028 pounds.
She is the heaviest woman in the world. I've never seen anybody that big.
But that's not what made her famous.
Investigators say 28-year-old Mayra Rosales hit her 1.5-year-old nephew and crushed his head, but she claims she accidentally fell on the boy.
Mayra was at the epicenter of one of the most sensational capital murder cases the Texas legal system has ever seen.
You have an 800-pound woman accused of crushing her nephew to death.
It was a murder trial that lasted over 2.5 years and sparked a huge national debate.
Why is she in jail? Nobody can really believe that someone could sit on a kid and then kill the kid.
Mayra confessed to the crime, but as new evidence surfaced, her story began to fall apart.
I start to wonder how an 800-pound woman can cause multiple injuries to the skull of a child.
We knew that something wasn't right. It just didn't smell right.
After Mayra's shocking courtroom testimony, investigators discovered it was not Mayra, but her sister Jamie who killed Eliseo Jr. Mayra was acquitted of the crime, and her sister Jamie is currently serving a 15-year sentence.
You're good to go.
Criminal charges were dismissed.
Thank you. But now, with Mayra's health deteriorating, the clock is ticking in a race to save Mayra from herself.
If Mayra's condition does not get resolved, she doesn't have very much time.
The physical toll that is taken on the body is just unimaginable.
At this point, if things don't change, I'm gonna die. But I don't know if I can survive the treatment.
There you go, Don.
Right, yes, that's but now, yeah, she's moved on with her life now, and she's £200. She's a good weight for her. So yeah, it can be done.
Yeah, the doctor's worked miracles, hasn't he?
Yeah, especially from that. I mean, you wouldn't think you could come back from that, would you?
No. I'm pleased for the lady. I'm well pleased for her.
Yeah. Right, next article. Well, it says driver, but it's spelled wrong here for some reason. Skydiver, narrowly avoids death after suffering seizure during parachute jump. The man, identified only as Christopher, said he was doing stage 5 of the accelerated freefall program when he had a near-death experience. He had a seizure and lost consciousness as he plunged towards the ground. But he was spared a grisly fate when his jump master caught up with him and pulled his ripcord, releasing his parachute. At around 9,000 feet, I have a seizure while attempting a left-hand turn, he wrote. I then spent the next 30 seconds in free fall, unconscious. Thanks to my jump master, managed to pull my ripcord at around 4,000 feet. I became conscious at 3,000 feet and landed safely back to the ground, possibly the scariest moment of my life. Well, there's actually a video of this anyway, it's been captured on, so you ready?
Yep, we'll be. Let's just start it now.
Yeah, so, what do you say? He'll be on his next mind. He'll be on his mind when he makes his next jump. I suppose if it's another season, he doesn't, and it takes longer than 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Has to be a bit wary of that.
Would
His insurance
would they
anyway.
Yeah, would they actually allow him to dive again? If he,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't think they would. I mean, would he be getting? He'd be hard to get insurance, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Very lucky though. Very.
Right. Next article. I'm 95% certain it's not a scam. Woman sends £1 million to online lover she's never met. Twice before Sarah says she's 95% certain she's not been scammed by a man she began emailing 18 months ago. A woman has told how she spent almost $1 million to a man she's never met after they fell in love online. Twice before Sarah met a man calling himself Chris Olsen 18 months ago in an online dating service. The romance soon blossomed. He told her he is originally from Milan, Italy, but moved to the United States 18 years ago. The pair talked for hours on the phone every day, and Sarah said she quickly realised she had fallen for Chris. An attractive person came on there and said, "You look like you wouldn't hurt a fly," she told the Dr. Phil show. I thought, wow, this guy's really handsome, I can't believe he's talking to me. Chris has a way with words. He'll say, "How is my queen doing today?" He's very poetic, and when he talks to me, he writes, "Miss Olsen, I love you and I can't wait to be with you." The only problem is the pair have never been able to meet in person. Chris, who told Sarah he is a widower with 2 daughters, says he had been in South Africa for business purposes, but he is now stuck in Benin, West Africa, after getting into trouble with the government, Sarah says. Over the course of their relationship, Sarah has sent almost $1 million to Chris for problems including stolen cards, calling cards, hotel bills, lawyers, a nanny, and when his visa expired. On one occasion, Chris said he had been imprisoned on false charges of money laundering. Sarah sold an apartment she owned and sent him more than $500,000 to get him out of jail. She says Chris has made 5 or 6 attempts to leave Africa for the US, but each time he's thrown back in jail. Sarah adds that Chris' accent appears to have changed in the time they have been talking. When I first started talking to him, she told Dr. Phil, he sounded Italian. Now his accent's kind of changed. I don't know if he's adapted to where he's at in Benin. However, Sarah says she believes Chris' stories are legitimate. I have questioned several times whether or not this is a scam, says Sarah, but I'm 95% certain that Chris is telling me the truth. I still believe in love. Well, there's a video on Dr. Phil. Dr. Phil's American TV show, chat show.
Hello, we're innocent. Want to know why our smoothies and juices taste so good? Simple. This is Badrul. He looks after our mangoes.
Come
We're
on,
turning them
back to
into a
chance.
perfect vibe. Thanks, Badrul. Your delicious mangoes are the reason our drinks are so good. Innocent. Tastes good. That's good.
It's very important.
I've given Chris money for several reasons. His credit card was stolen. He needed money for calling cards, hotel bills, lawyers. I have sent money to his nanny. His visa expired. The money that I sent was stolen. I've sent Chris money thousands of times. In June 2014, Chris was in prison falsely accused of money laundering. I sold an apartment building and I sent $550,000 to Chris to get him out of jail. I've sent him money in South Africa, Nigeria, and Benin. He assured me that when he gets home, he's going to pay me back every dime. He's made 5 or 6 attempts to come back to the U.S. to meet me. Every time they arrest him and they put him in jail, and then they want more money. It's been like a roller coaster for me. I'm going to have to continue to send him his money until he's free. I have questioned several times whether or not this is a scam. I am 95% certain that Chris is telling me the truth, that this is all legit. I am hoping that Dr. Phil can unite Chris and I.
So yeah.
People are getting desperate, aren't they?
Oh.
Everybody's looking. Everybody's looking. No, come on, guys. Let's not be so cruel about it. Everybody's got to find a chance to find some happiness, aren't they? Really?
Yeah, but hers is like she's gonna end up homeless. Hers is not real. He's a fraudster, isn't he? She's never gonna get what she wants because he's a fraudster. No matter how much emailing they do together.
I mean, looking at it, move it back down again, Don. Woman gives 1.4 million. How naive can you be?
Yeah, that's what I mean. But she's believed she's telling the truth.
But has she ever questioned it with that 5%? Is that telling me that she's questioned it? I don't really think she has.
Well, she's saying she's 95% sure, so if she's 95% sure, she shouldn't be sending in money because she's 5% sure that it could be a scam. So she's got doubt in her mind, so she's still sending in money.
Yeah. I feel sorry for the people that don't feel they're whole unless they're in a relationship.
Yeah.
It's such a shame.
Everybody's going to be in a relationship in their life sooner or later, aren't they?
Well, yeah, it is nice, yes, but it's not absolutely necessity, is it? It's not a life and death issue.
No, you don't go into life thinking if it happens, it happens. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. Really, it's like it's fake kind of thing. That's my perspective on it. Anyway, I think it's fake. There's somebody out there for everybody.
I wonder if she actually got any actual paperwork through from this fella showing that his court hearings, etc., etc.
Yeah, she received nothing, Roger. She received no.
Blind faith. Well.
Does it show you a picture of the guy then, Dom?
No, she got it. I don't think she got a picture.
Has she not?
No. She said she got a picture. You don't mention she hasn't got a picture, but she hasn't got a picture because she says here. Let's have a look. Sarah has a Chris Axon and Peter changing the time they've been talking. So that tells me that she's not actually, she's only spotted him over Skype or phone, but never actually seen his picture.
So basically,
I think somebody needs to tell her she's been duped.
Yeah, I have a feeling he's milked her for everything he can get.
She's been catfished.
Does that mean she's going to end up selling her house, or she's going to end up being homeless, and then it might click to her that it was a scam?
They need to get catfish guys onto it, don't they? You guys heard Catfish the program?
Oh, what?
Catfish, basically you've been duped online before you've actually met somebody, and these two guys go investigating as to what is really going on within this online meeting, regardless of whether the person actually exists, you know, from the other end.
Yeah. Right. Next article. Oink-believable. Peppa Pig toy teaches a 3-year-old to say, fuck you. Peppa Pig is known for being a bit outspoken at times, but the parents of a 3-year-old boy were left horrified when they realised that a toy they brought was the children's favourite had taught him to say, fuck you. Amira Black's parents, Garfield and Marsha, were delighted when their son was given a Peppa Pig Fun and Learn tablet as a Christmas present by a family friend. Purchased for £20 from Argos and said to be suitable for children aged 3 and above. They know that the toy would help Amara improve his speech as he was born with rickets and has learning difficulties. However, their joy soon turned to horror when they heard him mutter the expletive before realising that he had picked it up from the malfunctioning toy. Well, there's a video here. You ready for that video? It explains it all. Shows you it. Does that sound?
No.
No sound, PJ. He's got his mic on mute. You got your mic on mute.
Alright, okay, I do apologise. Start that back then. I'll try that again. I heard that first time around. It made me laugh. I'll put it through again, yeah?
Yeah, obviously.
Can all hear it this time, yeah?
Yeah, you took your thing off mute now, so it's alright.
Alright, good stuff.
Hello. Yay. Odd one out.
So I was in the kitchen cooking last week Tuesday, and I heard my son Amari repeating the Q word. Yeah, I was concerned, I was shocked, I was frightened. So I went in the front room to investigate what was really going on. Then to my amusement, I found out that this Peppa Pig gadget that I bought him for his Christmas present was actually saying those words. And we were very, very upset. Amari was born with rickets, so it takes him time to develop. He's not like a normal kid. So that's why I'm really upset, because I don't want him to be learning these words. So instead of saying find the odd one out, he's saying you odd one out. Yeah. And that is disgusting. I can't we buy stuff for my kids and then we are learning that it is teaching them to swear or whatever. So we are very concerned.
Yeah, I would be as well.
Well, yeah. Just take it back to when it Peppa Pig thing, when it says that explicit word. Just see if so I can hear it again. So it's recorded on here again.
1 minute then.
In the kitchen.
Yeah.
Yay. Odd one out.
Yeah, it's definitely that, innit?
Yeah. Odd one out after that. So there you go. Back over to you.
Well, that's the Peppa Pig Fun and Learn tablet. So if you are going to buy that from Argos, which is £20, have a look through it first before you give it to your 3-year-old or 4-year-old.
I say stop taking the tablets.
Mm-hmm. Right, my last article. Would-be thief knocked out by his own brick. This video of an unfortunate burglar has earned himself a moniker, Thick with a Brick. He was found by the owner of the car he threw a brick at, lying in a pool of his own blood. He was trying to smash his way into Jerry Brady's car outside his pub in Drogheda, but the brick he was using bounced back into him on the head, knocking him clean out. Mr. Brady told the Irish Independent, "When I saw him, he was lying there stone cold on the ground, and his face was in ribbons. My first thought was that this guy is after getting the house knocked out of him, while my girlfriend said he must have been in it and run." The man tried to threaten Mr. Brady, telling him he would burn you out and that he would tell police he had beaten him up. But Mr. Brady's good name was kept intact by the video footage that showed the would-be thief's knockout. Well, there's a video of the knockout, and it's going to be played here. It's a minute long. No, that's the 8-second video, Paul. I told you, it's the bottom one.
Oh, is that the wrong one?
That's yeah, I said. It was the bottom one.
Right, okay. Let's go back on that.
It shows you smashing the window, that one, but there's actually a minute clip what actually shows you what he's doing beforehand to another car. It's more detailed.
So with this one, yeah?
Yeah.
Right. We'll play that one then.
Put full screen if you can. You can hear it. You missed it. Take it back. You missed it because you had that thing on screen blocking it. Yeah, that's a Eno car, that, isn't it?
Yeah. I think he was served up some just desserts there.
It's going to be a laughing stock to people who know him.
Oh dear. But surely he should be actually done. He should be taken to court. They've got it on
Well, he would have
camera.
done all stuff what he'd stolen, it said, had been returned to the owner, so he would have been up in court for it, for thieving.
I should have laughed. Oh dear.
No, it's funny. It's a thief, innit? He deserves it. That's all for me anyway, that one. Thank you.
Over to Glenn now then.
Evening, guys. My first article tonight is cat dies after being died by pink obsessed owner.
Oh, what?
An author is under fire for animal rights activists for doing this to her cat. The cat was poisoned by the toxic air dye. Lenina made the cat the main attraction at a pretty in pink party where all the guests, the cat included, had to wear pink. Eyewitnesses told Russian media that the animal, which at that stage in September was a young kitten, has been hysterical the whole evening and was constantly trying to get out of her hands. She was widely criticised for the stunt but rejected the criticism, saying that she told by her vet that it was actually beneficial. She said the pink colour was especially chosen for its healing properties and also strengthens the cat's hair. My vet told me it was a beneficial addition to him. More women defends sending. Oh no, sorry, that's not. More cat dies after being dyed by pink obsessed owner. Lenina at the Pretty in Pink party, where the cat was centre stage. The picture, obviously, of the obsessed woman with the cat who sadly died. But as soon as the media fuss died down, she quickly lost interest in the kitten, which remained pink, and continued to lick at its pink fur, apparently causing it to ingest some colour from which animal rights activists say it later died. That the vets that examined the cat when it was taken ill and where it later died already reported the cat had died from being poisoned by a toxic substance. Among those that criticised were artist Yuri Kukalev, who described the stunt as pointless and unnecessarily cruel. And there is now an online petition demanding the local governor police to investigate the right animal cruelty charges. The petition gathered several thousand signatures, but at the moment there has not been an official response from the local government. Any views on that, guys?
How preposterous.
Yeah.
Legally Blonde's got a lot
Beggars believe.
Legally Blonde's got a lot to answer to, really, hasn't it?
They killed Pink Panther.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, joking apart, where is the mindset with these people? A cat's black and white, ginger, tabby or brown or whatever. Pink. Come on, people. It's.
Well, I'm just.
No, I'm not saying to you, Paul. I'm just saying.
Well, you don't justify it, is it? Whatever colour you spray, it's the fact
no,
that...
you don't spray an animal or whatever, do you?
No.
No, I was about to say I'm just lost for words. It just, well, beggars believe.
It's like that gold makeup stuff. If you cover your body in that, apparently you can you can die from suffocation.
Yeah, because your skin can't breathe, and your skin is the largest organ in your body.
Yeah.
On your body, should I say.
Have you got any thoughts on that, Dan?
I think he has.
Yeah, so I'll mute. Yeah, I don't think she'd have realised that it was toxic. So I mean, she should have done it anyway. But I don't think she were any malicious sent to it at the beginning when she thought she'd just die. Because I've seen a lot of videos and photos where people have dyed the cats different colours. I've got 2 cats. It's something I'd never do it, but I don't think she actually realised that cat had been licking at it. It'd be toxic and that.
I don't think it was intentional either.
Yeah.
It weren't intentional now. True, yeah.
She just didn't realise. She just didn't think about it, did she? That cats lick themselves, don't they?
But it's not the kind of thing. It's not the kind of thing you do to an animal. Dye an animal pink, is it?
No.
Literally.
But as you say, Glenn, where was that woman's mindset?
That's what I mean. This in a fantasy world, so to speak, I reckon, Paul.
Is it that good for a laugh attitude that turns sour?
Possibly, yeah. And so I'll move on to my second article then, guys. Bus driver threatened to kick off noisy deaf child. The father of a little boy suffering from severe hearing loss was told by a bus driver that either he'd quieten his noisy son or get off. Here's the picture of Kyle Johnson, 23, and his son Ethan. Kyle Johnson, 23, was travelling back from a paediatric hospital appointment with son Ethan when the 2-year-old got excited and started talking loudly. The driver called him over and said passengers had complained about his son, who wears 2 over-the-ear hearing aids, and had to quieten down or get off. Thankfully, Kyle managed to lull the toddler to sleep in his pushchair and stay on the bus. But he has accused the first bus driver of discrimination. The supermarket cleaner from Plymouth, Devon, said, "I explained to the driver that Ethan was deaf, but his response was, 'I really can't do a lot. I've had complaints. It's just discrimination against a disabled child at the end of the day. The driver said I had one choice, either I got Ethan to quieten down or I would have to get off the bus. I've had a couple of friends who have deaf children and they've told me it's happened to them numerous times." Another picture with his dad, Ethan and his dad. Ethan suffers moderate hearing loss in one ear and severe loss in the other, and was travelling back from a development checkup at Scott Hospital, Plymouth. Kyle said the driver called him over a few stops into the journey on Wednesday the 25th to give them the warning. He said it was the second time he has been threatened by bus drivers over Ethan making too much noise. He said a couple of passengers who had got off had made a complaint about the noise, said Kyle. I said, "What am I meant to do? He's a 2.5 year and has a hearing loss." The driver said I had one choice, either I got Ethan to quieten down or I would have to get off the bus. A spokesman for First Bus Group apologised for the difficult journey and said all drivers get customer service and disability awareness training. He added, "However, as you would expect, we cannot anticipate every situation and we don't have a specific instruction for drivers for the set of circumstances as described by Mr. Johnson. Therefore, in such rare and unpredictable situations, it is left to driver discretion. With Mr. Johnson's assistance, we'd be happy to investigate in detail the incident of 25th of February and interpret whether or not our driver acted appropriately." Any views on that, guys?
Well, when I've got on a bus with drivers, I've never really seen a bad driver complain, but it happens though. I do know it happens because I've read stories about them. I've just never experienced it myself.
Yeah, the driver's in an awkward position because he's getting complaints, but it's the people that are complaining that are at fault here. They're very close-minded not to understand that other people have difficulties.
Yeah, well, what I would do if I were the driver and those passengers are complaining, they said they complained before they got off bus, I would just basically just keep to myself and just carry on going and not mention and not board it up.
Yeah.
And until I really, 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 really needed it, I had to. I don't think it was at that point, really.
Because what's the people getting off the bus complaining? Because they had no reason to complain anymore. They were getting off.
Yeah, they were getting off, yeah.
They shouldn't have any reason to complain anyway, because the kid got rights to get to where he needs to get to anyway.
Yeah, where he's paid his fare.
Or his dad's paid his fare for him. Yeah, they've got to put his safety and help him get to where he wants to get to. It's gonna upset the child as well, really, isn't it? As he gets older, because he's gonna get a bit paranoid that he's thinking people are looking at him, and so it's out of his control the way he is, really, isn't it?
Well, it's all right. There's nothing wrong with him. He's just because he's deaf. He has to shout louder. When you're deaf and you think you can't hear, you actually automatically start shouting when you're talking. You raise your voice in that because you can't hear. That's what deaf people do. And that's all you were doing.
And they don't like that, do they? People don't like that on bus. They think it's rather annoying to them, kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's people not making allowances for other people that have difficulties.
Yeah, just inconsiderate. Nobody thinks, because nobody takes that extra step to have a second thought about something. It's always, act here and then.
Yeah, knee-jerk reaction without any thought.
It's a shame that they don't do that and put that into process about certain other things that happen, but anyway. Yeah, good article, that, Glenn.
Yeah, thanks, BJ. Moving on to my third article, anyway. Why Iceland banned beer. A century ago, Iceland banned all alcoholic drinks within a decade. Red wine had been legalised, followed by spirits in the 1930s, but full-strength beer remained off limits until 1st of March 1989. Megan Lane asks why it took so long for the amber nectar to come in from the Icelandic cold. When the mercury hovers below zero, a cold beer is not the first drink that springs to mind. A warming shot of schnapps might be more appropriate. But on 1st of March 1989, when the top temperature in Iceland was -5 degrees Celsius, 23 degrees Fahrenheit, beer was exactly what drinkers had in mind. It was the first time in 74 years they had a chance to legally order beer, and order it they did in rowdy scenes televised live on national television. Historian Jona Ingvarsson was 21 at the time and living in a small town. It was a big party. I and my friends bought a case each. We managed to finish them quickly and went to the pub where we stayed and drank through the night. A girl who had been living in Australia taught us drinking games we lost, obviously. This red letter day is marked annually as Bodyweight Beer Day, though it tends to be much quieter now that the Bacchanalian scenes witnessed 26 years ago. A generation on beer accounts for 62% of the 7.1 litres of pure alcohol consumed each year by the average Icelander. That's higher than in traditional brewing countries such as Germany and the Czech Republic, 54% each, and the UK, 37%. According to the most recent World Health Organization figures. But for much of the 20th century, it was unpatriotic and illegal to drink beer. When full prohibition became law 100 years ago, alcohol in general was frowned upon, and beer was especially out of favour for political reasons. Iceland was engaged in a struggle for independence from Denmark at the time, and Icelanders strongly associated beer with Danish lifestyles. The Danes were drinking 8 times as much alcohol per person on a yearly basis at the time, says historian Stefan Palsson, author of Beer Around the World in 120 Pints. As a result, beer was not the patriotic drink of choice. Picture of a guy who's rather obsessed with drinking during a football game. A Danish fan prepares for Denmark's Euro 2012 clash with Germany in Ukraine. The independence and temperance movements reinforced each other, and in 1908, 4 years after gaining home rule, Iceland held a referendum on a proposal to outlaw all alcohol. From 1915, about 60% voted in favour. Women who still didn't have the vote were vocal in their support. Prohibition was seen as progressive like smoking bans today, says Paulson. It didn't take long for prohibition to be undermined. Smuggling home brew and ambassadors lobbying for alcohol to oil off the wheels of diplomacy all played a part. Doctors started prescribed alcohol as medicine, and they did so in huge quantities for more or less everything. Wine if you had bad nerves, and for the cognac, says Pastor Paulson. But beer was never what the doctor ordered, despite the argument some put forward that it was a good treatment for malnourishment. The head doctor put his foot down and said beer did not qualify as a medicine under any circumstances, Paulson says. There were other leaks in the Prohibition armour too. Prohibition supporters complained that painters who never used to use spirits to clean their brushes were now getting litres and litres each year, says Paulson. So alcohol was flowing in from all directions. Then the Spanish threatened to stop importing salted cod, Iceland's most profitable export at the time. If Iceland did not buy its wine, politicians bowed to the pressure and legalised red and rose wines from Spain and Portugal in 1921. Over time, support for prohibition dwindled. It had already been repelled by all the other European nations that had experimented with it, apart from the Faroe Islands, when in 1933 Icelanders voted to reverse course. But even then, the ban remained in force for beer containing more than 2.25% alcohol, about half the strength of an average strength beer. As beer was cheaper than wines or spirits, the fear was that legalising it would lead to a big rise in alcohol abuse. The association of beer with Denmark also continued to tarnish its image in a country that only achieved full independence in 1944. However, beer remained accessible just about to those who really wanted it. If you knew a fisherman, he may have had a few cases stashed in his garage. Usually the cheapest and strongest beer available, often stored too long, says Paulson. Also popular, according to Ingvarson, was tipping Brennivin, burning wine, a potato-based vodka, into non-alcoholic beer, which tasted, as he puts, interesting and totally disgusting. Some Icelandic drinks is glasses of Brennivin and a jar containing akal, decomposed shark flesh. Is the photos of this. Brennivin, a clear schnapps made from fermented grain or potato mash and flavoured with caraway, also known as Black Death, which one Icelandic blogger says explains a lot. She continues, many Icelanders never touch it, and the majority of the ones who drink it only do so when feeling patriotic, such as when trying to impress foreign visitors. Whale beer, the Icelandic microbrewery Skydriver, has produced a number of ales flavoured with different parts of whale, including Avelar Lua 2, a brew infused with dried whale testicles. Skydriver's beer has proved popular in Iceland, although the company has been criticised by conservationists. It wasn't until the 1970s, with the rise of city break holidays, that attitudes really began to shift, Paulson suggests. You go to London to shop to watch football and go to the British pubs, and this started to seem like something you would like to have over here, he says. Another crack in the edifice of prohibition came in 1979 when businessman David Schwing Thorstein challenged the rule that only pilots, cabin crew, and foreign tourists could bring in duty-free beer. When his 6 bottles were confiscated, he refused to pay the fine. His case was taken by the MP, Sigurdsar Bjørnson, who was billed to allow Icelanders the same rights, was passed in 1980. It became practically a civic duty for Icelanders to buy a duty-free crate at the airport, 6 litres of imported beer, or 8 litres of local beer brewed in Iceland. Even though it was not legally available outside the airport, if they didn't like beer themselves, they'd pass it on to family, friends, or colleagues. Polls throughout the 1980s showed about 6 in 10 Icelanders supported legalising beer. Beer is being consumed in Iceland. John Magnusson of the Independence Party in 1987. Why should the state not get its piece of the cake in the form of taxes and so on? Here's some guys enjoying a nice scroll in a pool or something, having a drink, a cool long summer beer in the Blue Lagoon. Finally, in 1988, Icelanders' parliament, the Athling, voted to legalise beer after debates that were televised live and attracted huge audiences. A dozen beer lovers remained outside the building to flash victory signs following the conclusive post-midnight vote in the upper house, reported AP. Today, Icelanders drink less than many of their European counterparts. The 7.1 litres of pure alcohol drunk annually by over 15s in Iceland on average compares with 11.4 litres in Denmark, 11.6 in the UK, 12.2 in France, and 15.1 in Russia, according to the World Health Organization's Global Status Report on Alcohol and Health 2014. Iceland also has a relatively high proportion of abstainers, according to the WHO report. Lifetime abstinence for 14.1% of the drinking age population and 32.1% in the past 12 months in Denmark. These figures are 4.5% and 11.4%, with 15.1% and 16.1% in the UK. Before 1989, most alcoholic consumption would take place over a few hours at the weekend, said Stefan Paulsen. But when it comes to binge drinking, Iceland's stats are on a par with the UK, and Paulsen puts this down to drinking habits laid down in the beer prohibition years. Before 1989, most alcoholic consumption would take place over a few hours at weekends, so you needed big clubs which could serve a lot of customers in a short period of time. Some served Bajorki, pseudo beer, a mixture of low alcohol lager and different types of spirits served in large beer glasses. Beer day is not generally used as an excuse for binge drinking. These days, however, though it's mentioned in all the guidebooks, it isn't the festive blowout tourists often seem to expect, judging from surprise posts on TripAdvisor. Maybe we should make it into more of a celebration, says Oda Osp, who runs the popular iArt Reykjavik travel blog. I will go out for a beer myself to celebrate, possibly to one of the craft beers bars to try something new. Ordering an Icelandic beer isn't always easy unless you happen to speak the language. Some, such as Björg, Snorre, Near 10, and Ulfa, double IPA, Near 17, are just about pronounceable, but others, Olvisol, Stuckenbundsball, for example, or Viking, Eslenkia, Ervals, Einstein block, are more of a challenge. Once you have the glass in your hand, it's easy. It's easy. You just say skull and drink. The magazine in Iceland. Oh yeah, that's basically about it. Yeah.
Bit of challenge, that Glenn. Good bit.
And last few words, PJ, were a little bit challenging yourself, weren't they?
Rather you than me, I always struggle with them.
Them six. The culture basically from a European country, Poland. It's a German stroke Polish thing, isn't it? Really, Poland, Iceland, all them Balearic countries.
Well, the best bit about Iceland for me, it's always been interesting, is that it's debt free. So.
Yeah, but all the Balearic countries are more alcoholic orientated, so to speak, aren't they?
Oh yeah.
Scandinavian countries.
That's cool. That pretty lengthy, but
it did go on a bit. Yeah. Have you guys got any views on it before I move on to my last article?
I need a good cup of tea.
that beats a pint or whatever. Dan?
I'm alright in a way, Glenn, my side.
What about you, Dan?
No, I think he's alright there.
Alright, no worries. And swiftly I'll move on to my final article then, PJ, okay?
Coolio, Glenn.
Becky Watts search, police call in further support. Rebecca Watts was reported missing 10 days ago. The search for Becky Watts, 16, has intensified with police now searching 3 homes in Bristol. More resources are being called upon in the search for the teenager reported missing from her home in the St George area of the city on 19th of February. Police said searches of our houses in Wilton Close, Southmead, the city's Barton Hill district, and the family home were part of lines of inquiry. 2 people were arrested on Saturday in connection with their disappearance. Forensic teams have now ended the search of the Barton Hill property for the night, but a police presence will remain overnight. Forensic teams have now... meanwhile, police have said a laptop computer found by search teams in Woodland on Saturday is not related to the inquiry. Here's a picture of the police outside the property, keeping a close eye on things what's going on in the area. Forensics search a house in Wilton Close, Southmead, as one of several lines of inquiries which I've just mentioned. Another big Black Maria. Police also searched a house in the Barton area districts of Bristol, keeping a very close surveillance on what's going on. And keeping an eye on the allotments by the looks of it. A search team arrived at Royal Hill Allotments in Fishpounds on Sunday. A number of locations have been searched within a 2-kilometre, 1.4 mile radius of the family home in Crown Hill, including the house itself. Officers have also searched the car park outside the house, the lake in St George Park, as well as Troopers Hill Nature Reserve. Avon and Somerset Police said it was now running 6 specialist search teams, including officers from Wiltshire, Devon and Cornwall and Gloucestershire forces. Monday, the police helicopter will be involved again, as will a dog unit from South Wales Police. Becky's father and stepmother, Darren and Angie May Galsworthy, said they continue to hope she will be found safe, but they were preparing themselves for the worst. About 150 members of the public joined an organised search of Old Brickhouse Estate on Saturday in the hope of finding evidence. We got people gathering around in the community to try and help find any clues out there to where she is. Around 150 people gathered at Old Brick Estate, Court Estate on Saturday to join the search for evidence, as I've just said above. Yeah, the only positive outcome you can really say out of that is let's hope she's found safe and well. And
well, a laptop's been found in park, hasn't it? A laptop's been found in park, but they weren't sure it were hers at that time. But she was actually seen leaving her house with a laptop. The dad was also questioned a few days ago. He wrote on Facebook a status asking women to check their husband's trousers for bloodstains, apparently because his daughter was on her period. Anyway, that alerted police. That thing, and police came down and questioned him, took him out, and they searched his house. And but I'm not saying his dad's responsible for it. I don't think he is. It was just that it was mentioning in a Facebook post what he wrote a few days ago.
Why is?
But he set off a lot of trolls. A lot of trolls were accusing him of being behind it.
There's always that assumption when young girls go missing that the family, some sort of family member, has got.
Well, that is usually the case. Actually, most people who go missing and are found dead are usually being killed by someone they know.
Yeah. In a rather vicious and disgusting kind of way, to be honest. Where's the mentality and mindset of these people?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, some people probably just have that mindset, don't they?
Worst case that I came across with the little girl April, if you can remember her.
Yeah.
That was the worst one for me. Yeah, good for that, Glenn. Thanks a lot. Is there any more to come?
No, that's my final articles. Yeah, is it Paul next? Yeah.
No, I'll take it from you.
All right. No worries, Paul. Thanks anyway.
Cheers, Glenn. Cheers. Okay. Not many tonight from myself. First one is the Jihadi John, known to MI5 since 2008. So that's 7 years. But they let him escape. So Mohammed Mwaze, the Islamic State terrorist known as Jihadi John, was identified by British intelligence but allowed to escape to Syria. It was also revealed that he had links to the failed 21/7, the 21st of July attacks in London, the Observer reports. The British intelligence service MI5 had been keeping track of Mwaze since 2008, 3 years after the attempt by a group of Western militants on July the 21st, 2005, to carry out terrorist attacks on British soil. Mwaze was a person of interest for MI5 as he was a member of a London-based jihadi cell that had been set up to recruit militants. Security services were aware that Mwaze had a telephone conversation with Hussein Osman on the day of the 21/7 planned attacks, who was later jailed for life for planting a bomb in a London underground station. The planned assaults came just 2 weeks after the worst terrorist attack to hit the UK, when 52 people were killed on July the 7th, 2005. Despite clearly being on the radar of the British intelligence services, Mwaze was born in Kuwait and travelled to the UK as a child with his family, was able to avoid detection and eventually escaped to Syria in 2013. So avoid detection, I don't know why. Anyway. Given the numbers who appear to have slipped through the net, it is legitimate to ask how many more people must die before we start to look more closely at the strategy of our intelligence services, said the former Shadow Home Secretary David Davis, writing in The Guardian on Friday. Mwaze, who was a computer programming graduate of the University of Westminster and lived in Queen's Park, West London, is thought to have killed American journalist James Foley. The killing was shown in a video released last August. A masked man clad militant who has been identified by the Washington Post newspaper as a Briton named Mohammed Mwaze stands next to a man purported to be Stephen Sotloff. In this image from a video obtained from Site Intel Group website. He is further believed to have featured in videos of the beheadings of US journalist Stephen Sotloff, British aid worker David Haynes, and British taxi driver Alan Henning, and US aid worker Abdul Rahman Kasig, also known as Peter. It has also emerged that the Kuwait-born terrorist said that He was feeling the pressure of being under constant surveillance from British authorities. In a series of emails to the Mail on Sunday newspaper in December 2010-2011, he said how the pressure of being watched was getting to him. "I'll take as many pills as I can so that I will sleep forever," he said in an email to the newspaper's security editor, Robert Vercake, adding that he felt like a dead man walking. He also claimed he was a victim of police brutality in his correspondence with the journalist, saying he was interrogated by an officer who threw him against a wall, grabbed his beard and throttled him. The Mail on Sunday reported, subsequently, he made a complaint to the Independent Police Complaints Commission about this ordeal. The Shadow Home Secretary Yvette Cooper has called for an urgent review into whether the UK government's decision to relax counter-terrorism laws had played a role in allowing Mwaze to be able to escape detention and eventually flee to travel to Syria and join the so-called Islamic State extremists. Formerly ISIS, Iceland, blah 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 blah, many others. We need to know whether Theresa May's decision to ignore all our warnings and weaken counter-terror powers has made it easier to organise and recruit for Iceland. Suggestions of possible links between those carrying out atrocities on behalf of ISIL and those behind the 24/7 planned attacks on London are very concerning, Cooper said. While the man known as Jihadi John continues to be a part of Islamic State, it has also emerged that his family members in Kuwait have come under surveillance from the local authorities. Security agencies have taken the necessary measures to monitor them around the clock. The Al-Qabas newspaper said, citing an informed source, which was reported by AFP. The Al-Ra newspaper, which also cited security sources, mentioned that Mwazi's father, Yassem Abdul Karim, who is also a British citizen, is currently in Kuwait and expected to be questioned by authorities concerning his son. So that's the latest on the Jihadi John. Venezuela to impose mandatory visas on Americans is my next article. President Nicolas Maduro says the move is to control US influence. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro announced he will be implementing a mandatory visa system for all American citizens visiting the country as a way to control Washington's interference after claiming the country had captured several US spies. The leftist president also ordered a review and reduction of US diplomatic staff in Caracas in order to protect our country. I have decided to implement a system of compulsory visas for all Americans entering Venezuela, he told supporters. The Venezuelan president said the captured Americans included a pilot who, along with other US citizens in Venezuelan custody, had, he alleged, been involved in espionage. So a little bit from the Venezuela there. They're all brief and short, these articles, so I'll let you, I'll open it up to comments afterwards. Mass march to honour murdered Putin critic. So recently we've had a murder over there and it's been quite well in the mainstream. More than 70,000 people marched through the central Moscow in memory of Russian opposition leader Boris Nemtsov, organisers say. I'll play this little video, why not?
What do you get from a glass of Tropicana Pure Premium?
I think they're all like this Tropicana. They all seem to be doing it.
It's tempting me. I might buy some.
Oh. Come on, it's a long one, this one. It's going on forever.
There's no volume.
There's not meant to be.
Well,
volume isn't there?
Hey, it's right, on we go.
Unsure how many people would turn out, authorities weren't taking any chances. Boris Nemtsov himself had asked people to join him here today for an opposition rally. Instead, they came to march over his murder. and they came in huge numbers. Organisers 70,000 people carrying flags and placards with statements that read things like, "We are not afraid."
It's a huge loss for us, and I think the authorities have crossed the line now. I think a big change is to come. I don't know exactly what will happen, but I don't expect anything good in this country.
This was Boris Nemtsov just hours before his death. In the footage taken from a radio interview, he looks relaxed, despite speaking of the pressure he says opponents to Russia's government have been experiencing. Later in the day, as he walked back to his home after a meal with a friend, he was shot 4 times, gunned down not far from the Kremlin. There are those like Russia's president who see this as a provocative act aimed at destabilizing the government, and those who believe this was the result of challenging Russia's leadership under Vladimir Putin.
It's a strange coincidence, for a very weird one, that all of his main critics and everybody that crossed his way, somehow almost all of them finished in this way. And that again resonates with the fact that he really turned Russia into some kind of mafia clan and mafia state.
Boris Nemtsov had reportedly claimed he was about to publish documents that linked Russian armed forces to the conflict in Ukraine, documents which wouldn't have looked good for President Putin. But as big as the protest was, it's unlikely to influence the Kremlin yet.
Vladimir Putin will get reports about how many people attended, which slogan were sounded, and then he will think that 50,000 people in a city of 12 million is just like enough.
In the place where Boris Nemtsov died, there's now a sea of flowers. A thorough investigation has been promised, but unless it's an independent one, it's unlikely to convince protesters, many of whom are certain Boris Nemtsov was killed for daring to speak out.
There you go.
What do you get from this?
Oh, we're not playing them games, so we'll end that one.
Yeah,
Next one is...
I would just like to say, we're gunned down in part of Kremlin, which is just yards from Kremlin, and it's heavily guarded around there, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it just seems a bit thingy like, yeah, he'd be gunned down in that spot.
Mm-hmm.
And no one got caught, no one at all. If that had happened over here, I think police would have caught him straight away, but hopefully it didn't happen.
Any comments from you, Paul? Anybody?
I'd like to go back on the Jihadi John now.
Alright, we'll do the comment sections down, the ones that I've shown, and so we go back to the Jihadi John. This is the Jihadi John.
Yeah, it says there that the security intelligence was relaxing the security of the observation of terrorists. And then they bring up 7/7. Well, the two don't meld. Why would they be relaxing after 7/7? And why are they mentioning 7/7?
It was the 21st.
To lock it into
Blackhole. The attack was on the 21st. The one that he was apparently allegedly involved in was the 21st of the 7th. And the planned assaults came just 2 weeks after the worst terrorist attack was the one you're talking about.
They're trying to make 7/7 bomb synonymous with this going on now with ISIS. They're trying to, by implication, yes?
Yeah.
So everybody thinks, oh no, even worse, even worse. It's all a ruse. It is a ruse. Right? And the 7/7 was a setup by our own government because the bomb was from underneath the tube train, not inside, because the floor of the tube was blown upwards, not downwards. And they're trying to link it and use it yet again for their advertisements. Oh, stop the terrorism, you can never win war with terrorism. It's an ongoing war. They keep driving that, yet they've relaxed the surveillance on anti-terrorism. No sense, makes no sense.
What about the Venezuelan article?
That was coming over really bitty. I couldn't get much of that one.
Right, okay. We've just done the march. The next one is the Can You Heal My Cat's Paw? UK Foreign Office unveils list of most ridiculous consular requests. I'm getting a bit of feedback from one of you guys, I don't know who it is. The UK's Foreign and Commonwealth Office, FCO, has released a list of all most inquiries it fielded in 2014. After revealing that 38% of all calls made to diplomatic missions abroad were not related to consular support at all. The FCO said it received more than 365,000 calls last year. In what has become an annual feature, it has published the most irrelevant ones. A caller asking for help with setting up British-style hanging baskets at a trade show because the professional gardener hired for the purpose had stage fright. A British woman asking the consulate in Albania how to find out if her son's fiancée was already married. A caller asking for advice on how to treat a cat's infected paw. A man requesting that staff at the embassy in Mexico City go to the airport to check whether he had left his mobile phone on the plane. A woman in Italy calling to inquire how she could synchronize her TV antenna to receive English channels. An event coordinator in Brussels asking for the name of a Scottish chef based in the country who could make haggis for a Burns Night event. Foreign and Commonwealth Office Minister David Lidington pleaded for understanding from Brits and others who believe the UK diplomatic mission is a one-stop shop for all things British. We will always try to help where we can, but there are limits to what we can do. So it's important for people to be aware of how we can help. He said in a statement, we can issue an emergency travel document if your passport is lost or stolen, offer support if you become a victim of crime, or visit you in a hospital or prison. But we aren't able to pay medical bills, give legal advice, or get you out of jail, or indeed act as veterinary surgeons. Lidington said the sheer volume of irrelevant queries prevents the FCO, which has been suffering from noticeable budget cuts in recent years, from helping those it can. It is important for FCO consular staff to be able to focus on our most vulnerable customers, such as victims of crime, those who have lost a loved one abroad, or people who have been detained or hospitalised overseas. The FCO said according to the surveys, 45% of all Brits aged 16 to 24 had an inaccurate idea of what embassies and consulates are and what their function is. There you go. So can you heal my cat's paw? With a cat's chance in hell. My last one is about the march today. Or should I say the 2nd of March, which is today, and this is the DPAC March, the Disabled People Against Cuts. This is the information website for them. A list of cities where the events will be taking place. Planning for the day of action to welcome Maximos, as they're being dubbed. They're the ones that have took the contracts over from Atos. They're an American insurance company. Do look them up if you've not looked them up before. So their new role as assessors for the cruel and hateful WCA, which is the Work Capability Assessment, is taking shape, and we now have actions planned or in planning for these areas: Aberdeen, Bolham, Bournemouth, Bradford, Brighton, Cardiff, Croydon, Dundee, Ealing, Edinburgh, Glasgow, Hull, Inverness, Ipswich, Leeds, Leicester, Lincoln, Manchester, Norwich, Portsmouth, Plymouth, Reading, Sheffield, Sunderland, Toronto, Truro, Wrexham, and Maximus HQ in central London. So if anybody is not doing much tomorrow and you're in any of these areas, do look up for the times and the places and people who will go in and get yourself out there. See what it's all about. But be interested, because Maximos have, well, according to the people that have looked up the records and their history on certain things they've been involved with, it makes Atos look like a walking park, basically. So that's me done today. Back over to you, Dom, for you to wrap us up. And
yeah, thank you, PJ. Interesting article there, Maximus. Thank you for listening to Flux News. We'll see you again tomorrow. You've been listening to Dom, PJ, Glenn, and Blackhole Paul. We'll see you again tomorrow. Thanks. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.